Satnam. Hello. Good to see you here. Oh, what a day, what a day, what a day. So busy. Busy, productive, new awarenesses, they're all happening. They're all happening. I make this video every day for the Being in Sync 366 video series. It's always just my opinions that I'm sharing about the healing journey, about being in alignment physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. Hey, Peter, good to see you here. And so in doing these videos, I have learned a lot from you all, and there's so many topics around healing, and you could go in so many different directions, but always I try to keep in mind, like, we are always our own healer. You know, whether you go to therapy and try traditional methods, or you're someone like me who, I'm very skeptical of people. I'm always looking to see, are they in alignment? And when I mean in alignment, like, do they believe in a higher power that's in alignment to the light? That's for me the alignment, and that's how I measure alignment with people who I go and talk to. And so I'm not a big proponent of traditional therapies. I think you guys probably know that. But as you also know, I'm just giving my opinions. Everybody is on their own healing journey, and we all have our own ways. And there is not just one way in which we do anything. For me, I have been very open about my healing journey because I found there was so many people that would say things that just weren't true. Like, here, read this book. And I say, oh, did you read this book? They said, no, but I heard it was good. I mean, these people just really had no integrity in giving advice. So I tried to speak. Hello, good to see you all. I tried to speak in ways that help you find the answers that are most in alignment for you by giving you a unique perspective. Yeah, so that's why I'm here every day for this series, the Being in Sync 366 video series, alignment physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. And today I wanted to talk about, well, I didn't really want to talk about it, but it comes up so much in the chat, I thought I would talk about it. It's called PTSD. Now, as you all know, unless you've done your research on the DSM is a diagnostic tool that traditional therapists, psychiatrists, medical professionals use to label people with ailments. I am not a proponent of labeling. I am not a proponent of diagnosis, but many people say, oh, I have PTSD. So let's just talk about what is PTSD, because everybody has their own different ideas of what trauma is. So post-traumatic stress, sorry, I just want to adjust this. Post-traumatic stress disorder. That's what PTSD is. Another way of looking at it is it's just a wound that needs healing, you know? We all have life experiences, every single one of us, and how we experience our life could be quite traumatic. So, what's traumatic for me may not be traumatic to somebody else, and vice versa. So, you go and get your own diagnoses or ideas about what trauma is. PTSD is simply how we are expressing our experience. That's the simplest way that I can think of to explain PTSD. It is a processing of a past experience. That's what it is. Or a lack of processing, however you want to look at processing, because a lot of people don't really know how to process their experiences because we try to operate from the mind. And so a lot of people think, I'm just jumping into it today. A lot of people think that reading a book or listening to a video is processing. No, we process through our experience. So this is all to say that today I wanted to talk about the 5 things that I thought would help with people who have these difficulties in processing traumatic experiences, or what I would call a wound. A traumatic experience is essentially an experience of which you have been wounded, either physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, and that presents a problem. So I'm sorry, I'm going to be deleting anybody that's just rude on the chat. So if y'all can't be respectful in the chat, you'll just be deleted. You know, this channel is intended to be in alignment, and clearly if you don't honor, respect, or others, then you're not in alignment, okay? And I know there's a lot of people working to be in alignment, but you can't be in alignment and be rude at the same time. Rude meaning unkind, okay? Yeah, so I have a little bit of a headache, so I might be a little bit more direct than normal. I didn't finish my coffee, so I'm not sure if it's a caffeine-induced headache. Hey, Shane, good to see you. Okay, I think it's been about 5 minutes here, so hi, Vinish. I'm sorry. The Indian names, I really don't mean to say them wrong. So please forgive me if I mispronounce anybody's name. Okay, so today we're talking about 5 ways that I believe would help anybody who is looking at, I'm just going to say PTSD, which is a diagnosis that most people that claim they have PTSD don't really have that diagnosis. Either way, you don't need a diagnosis to know that you have difficulty processing experiences, which is essentially what we're talking about here. How do you process experiences? So I have 5 aspects. Thank you, Satnam. That I think that would be really helpful for anybody that's trying to find greater alignment physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, okay? So I'm going to start with I'm going to start and end with something that most people do not look at. And this is really important. Identify what your beliefs are around healing. Like, what do you believe healing is? What does it look like for you? How does it feel? Like, when you are fully healed, what does that look like, feel like, experience? What are those results? Do you know what healing is for you? And I think a lot of people that are in the loop of ongoing therapy and ongoing healing is they don't have any clarity about what healing actually is, what that process is. Because the spiritual journey is always going to entail discomfort. And if you have beliefs about the healing journey being one of comfort and comforting, well, then maybe your beliefs need to be readjusted. So you want to know what it is that you believe healing is for you. And when you are healed, how will you even know? How do you know? And I think a lot of people don't want to challenge their beliefs. And why don't we want to challenge our beliefs? Because our beliefs create our realities and guide our perceptions. That's why I always say, what are your 5 values? What are your 5 values? Because those are guideposts. If you don't know what your values are, you're going to be driven by other, what I will call false beliefs, okay? And that is a problem, right? So false beliefs they misguide us. And so you want to really have an understanding of what do you believe about the simplest things called healing? What is alignment to you? What is being in sync to you? What does that look like? What does that feel like? Do you have ideas about what that journey is? Because it's quite challenging to come into alignment. It literally requires a releasing of beliefs that you have held about things so that you have been brought up with since you were a child. Like, what is God? What is your family? How does support show up? What are relationships? All of those ideas are going to dictate and challenge your healing journey. So this is really number one in a different way of looking at how you can begin to heal in a different way, because just because you have a diagnosis, that's not who you are. Again, this is my opinion. I come on here every day and give my opinions about different topics about healing. And people who have trouble processing typically never look at their belief systems. And your belief systems are driving perceptions which drive your reality. Those reality perceptions are definitely going to challenge how you are looking at past experiences. So you can see it can be a conundrum. Okay, so number two, I would suggest that you look at, like, what are your expectations of yourself and others? Get clear on them, because a lot of people get very disappointed and often become depressed and despondent and disconnected when their expectations aren't met. So get clear on, like, what are your expectations around healing, around growth, around change, around processing. Like, what are your expectations for processing? What are your ideas about processing? Are they in alignment with who you are? Because there's a lot of books, and I just saw somebody on here say, I research PTSD. I don't care. Like, I do not care what other people say unless it resonates with me. Like, and unless it's something I'm going to look at and I'm going to say, okay, how is this teaching me? Because somebody says it doesn't make it so. Because you've been diagnosed doesn't mean it's true. Like, you need to start to challenge ways of being that are more in alignment with your growth and expansion into physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual alignment. You don't just focus on one piece. You can't, because one always influences another. Always. Okay. And the number two, with identifying your expectations around what you have for yourself and others, that will help you strategize against getting into this lower vibration of depression and feeling like you're in this all alone and nobody cares about me and you're a victim. You're not a victim. You are here to heal yourself. That's nobody else's journey but yourself. And so when you understand that you are your own healer and that everything is just either informing or misdirecting it, it becomes much easier. Okay. Number three, understand where you are emotionally in the emotional intelligence, because emotional intelligence will really be super helpful for you to understand where you're at. So there are all kinds of gauges, but I just keep it simple. You're either immature emotionally, mature, or advanced in emotional intelligence. And immature is basically victimizing. You've been a victim. You're a victim of your circumstances, of your situation, and you're blaming other people for they did this to you. That puts you in the victim, and they're a victimizer. So if you're in that is hey, Tammy, I just saw that you're here. Welcome. I'm on point number 3 about emotional intelligence. So if you're still in the blame game and somebody caused this, that's really very immature. So I would look at things as immature. Mature is that you have great clarity and you have you're taking full responsibility for your healing and for your emotions and why you feel the way you feel, and that's your job. Okay. Advanced in emotional intelligence is you're somebody who creates a safe space for others to be who they are and accept them, angry, sad, whatever it is that you're more advanced and neutral in where people are at, including yourself. You allow yourself to see yourself more clearly, balanced and expressing. Okay. Number 4 is processing. Really understanding that processing is about your experience, and your experience is about learning. And now I talk about on here all the time about soul lessons. You got soul lessons, life lessons. We have patterns that are repeating all the time. And a lot of times that people are processing information that they don't really understand. And I'm going to give you a really simple example of a client that I had that was expressing as they had a massive trauma. But they went through their whole memory and their whole life, and they really couldn't identify or locate an experience that was traumatic as they were expressing. And I said, it really, what I was picking up on is that it came from while she was in utero with her mother, who, as we got further along, it turned out, and she learned more information, that the mother was sexually assaulted while she was pregnant with the child who I was the one that I was working with. So cellular memory is real. Our DNA gets passed down from generation to generation to generation. And that means when we have unhealed wounds or wounds that come in ways that we don't necessarily understand, but we are still experiencing, that means that you have the job and the responsibility to heal it. It's not the mother's job. It's your job when you're experiencing it. So I know that's an extreme example, but I wanted you to know that it's important for you to challenge what it is that you're experiencing. So, when you're having a processing experience and you're learning, something that will make it easier for you to go through and learn through processing is to get out of your comfort zone all the time. So I would ask you the question, how are you working to get yourself uncomfortable, meaning out of your comfort zone, in a way that's healthy and balanced? So like cold exposure, or going out of your comfort zone, or talking to people you wouldn't normally talk to, like things that really stretch you, okay? And number 5, as far as, I'm gonna end how I started here, as far as things that I think would help for people who are having PTSD experiences. Again, this is just an experience in how you're processing what you experience. That's all it is. Look at how and what your beliefs are about a healing journey. Like, what is it that you believe about your healing journey? And are your thoughts about that journey, are they solid, firm, rigid, or are you more mentally flexible and willing to shift and change what it is that you believe? I think that would be most helpful, because the more fixated you are about things being a particular way will challenge the healing journey, because it's not a process that's linear. And I talk about energy because it's not linear like people want to believe, because people have been conditioned to think they can heal from their mind. They don't understand that consciousness is not the same as what you think. okay? It's a higher level of understanding, of knowingness that people experience when they are in the frequency and flow of higher consciousness. And that's really, from my perspective, how people heal. They don't heal by going and doing, in my opinion, talk therapy. Talking might work for some, but the vast majority, that's not how you heal. You heal when you have integrated lessons and your experiences, and there's a higher aptitude of acceptance and love and grace. All these experiences are not of the mind. They are of the heart. So healing is really the integration that happens when you're present in the heart space. So I hope you found that these 5 things, these 5 aspects of looking at, first of all, looking at a diagnosis. And if you don't know about the DSM, you should know before you go down the rabbit hole of researching PTSD and looking for ways to diagnose yourself and others. Just let go of these ideas and start looking at how do you see healing being for you? What are your beliefs? And again, your beliefs will determine your path. And I'm just going to be honest, the spiritual journey is quite challenging because we have a spiritual war going on. There are people that don't even want to believe in God or source or creation. They want to believe in science, and which is fine. You can believe whatever you want to believe, but you must start to challenge your beliefs. You know, my way isn't the only way, but the spiritual journey is challenging because it challenges you on those core, deeply held beliefs. And for many people, they've been passed down from generation to generation. So I just want to say that I hope all of you find healing in your journey. And my hope is to only provide a unique perspective that supports you on your journey. So as always, take what resonates with you and leave all the rest behind. Everybody is here to learn and grow and expand in their own ways. So I just want to say also thank you, Peter, for being here in the chat and helping. I see it's quite out of hand to some extent. But if you're here, be respectful, be kind. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer. I know my perspective is different than most. I am not a doctor. I don't propose to be. I am not your healer. I am a healer. And I'm just here to share my perspective. And I think we're all our own healers. Good to see you here, Shane. Ultimately, you are your own healer. Alexander, thank you for being here. Curious about questions about processing your experiences. Man, oh, I bet, man, you're a doctor. Man is actually a doctor in his country. And I bet you've researched PTSD. Have you researched the DSM? That is my question. Have you researched the DSM, what and why the DSM is created, and what pharmaceuticals are actually behind the DSM? Man, that is really what I want to ask. There, because most people who research PTSD don't realize that they're researching a quote-unquote diagnosis. Anyways, just my 2 cents there, man. Eye movement designation, reprocessing reduces pain associated with past memories and allows for reprocessing the hippocampus. See, I told you he was a doctor. Hippocampus. Thank you, man. Yeah. Oh, I forget what that method is called. I'm not a fan of it, but I've heard of it. I'm not a fan of most traditional methods, man. I don't know if you've gotten that yet. But I do believe that you are a a very conscientious doctor for sure, who cares deeply about being in alignment. I do believe that. I've never used expectations. I've used expectations of myself and only. Well, Raj, what I would suggest is like, it's helpful to get clarity of expectations that you have for yourself, and even write them down. What do I expect of myself on this healing journey? What do I expect if you are somebody who's going to therapy? What do you expect of yourself? What do you expect of the practitioner? Like I have clients, and usually at the first session, depending on the client, I always ask, what do you expect to have at the end of this session? Or what is it that you want to experience? What is it that you want to feel? Because oftentimes people have unrealistic expectations. I will have clients that come to me and they'll say, I want to address in 30 minutes, Kiana, I want to address my physical, my body, my money, my work. I mean, that's an unrealistic expectation. You can't get it all done in 30 minutes, you know? One does influence the other, but you're not going to get resolution. Raj says, I think you need to come to our healing center. I don't even know if that's a compliment or an insult, but I'm going to say I decline. Thank you. If anyone you have who's depressed or any other problem. I don't know what you're saying here, Raj. Okay, Tammy, good to see you. Emotion comes only when I am with my ex. Well, then, good thing it's an ex. I mean, your ex might just trigger your emotions, but your emotions are there all the time, whether you're in connection with them or not. Man is saying, yes, cluster C personalities find it difficult to recover from anxiety and depression. I'm not down with locking people in with particular identifications. I do understand that medical professionals find that a requirement and also necessary to do so. Okay. Thelma is saying, how do I tell my girlfriend that I'm gay? Why don't you just start with an open-hearted conversation? Hello, Toronto, Danny. That's where my husband is from. Well, he's from Ottawa, but he lived in Toronto when I met him. I've been watching for about 10 minutes now. Thanks for being here, Danny. Every day is a different topic. Today, I just happened to be talking about this very popular topic of trauma. And why? Because trauma is just an unhealed wound. We are all here to heal ourselves. Jerry is saying, you obviously haven't been involved in an act of war, pal. I don't know who you're talking to, Jerry, but I would say, look, we are in what's called a spiritual war. That is a war on consciousness. That is a war on your awareness. That is a direct impact on your soul. How that manifests is through trauma, through experiences where people find it very difficult to find healing, peace, alignment. That's what experiences that are hard to process cause. And when we have those experiences, it's our job. Nobody's wound is more wounded than the other. You know, it's not a measure of who's more wounded, Jerry, with all due respect. I do think, and I have worked with many servicemen who have deep wounds, but our wounds are ours, and they're all tragic, but it's our life and our responsibility to heal them. And we don't want to compare who's more wounded, because that creates the separation. That's the division that keeps us all from understanding that we're all one. We're all here to heal, and we do it through our love and compassion for one another, not saying mine is more than yours. You know, I have been through lots of things, but a physical war is not one of them. But I've had spiritual warfare for sure. I've had spiritual attacks. I've had psychic attacks. I've been attacked in ways that I wouldn't wish on anybody. And mine is not bigger than others. And it's not more or less than others. It's just different. It's just my soul wounding that needed to be addressed. And I do respect you, Jerry, and I do think that you are so a man of great integrity, and I do not in any way, shape, or form want to be disrespectful or harmful. I just want you to know that I see you, I appreciate you, and I understand that your healing is in process, as are all of ours. And we say things inappropriately based on our awarenesses. And somebody who doesn't understand your situation will say things that might trigger another, and our triggers are our gifts that we get to heal more. That's all. That's all a trigger is telling us. We have more healing to do. Sandra, do I do private sessions and take insurance? I absolutely do not take insurance, and I do private sessions. I am not a medical professional. I'm not a therapist, a psychologist, a psychiatrist, or a doctor. I do physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual healings. I look at patterns, and I help people rewire the patterns in their field. Man, at the beginning, I don't know if you were here, I talked about what your idea of PTSD and what somebody else's ID's PTSD is going to be different. It's not based on a diagnosis, because trauma is just an experience. That's it. It's just an experience, right? And PTSD is how they process or don't process what they experience. So we don't need to go into triggers, you know. That's why when we get so in these definitions, we limit ourselves. That's why I talked about at the very end, I talked about what are your beliefs, because those, if they're rigid, they will limit your ability to heal. Sandra, no, I do not take insurance. And yes, I do private sessions. Thank you so much, Rock. Okay, let's see. I find it really interesting to explore alternative perspectives on PTSD, especially how someone else sees it as a form of resilience or adaptations. Do you have any insights? Trader? Well, I think I've given my perspective on PTSD. It's an experience of life, in many instances, that created a wound, and that wound has not been fully healed, and therefore it's created stress. And the PTSD is actually a diagnosis that comes from a book called the DSM that was formulated from a pharmaceutical company who wanted to have diagnoses for doctors to give out prescription pills. That's my understanding of the DSM. I'm pretty sure other people would have a different perspective, but that's mine. So my insights on healing are this, that when we take time to do our own healing and we actually consciously go on the journey to heal our unhealed wounds, to look at what causes us pain and discord, to identify our triggers and heal our triggers so we can become a more cohesive, coherent person that's physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually aligned. And I think when you are in alignment, when you are working on alignment, resilience is a natural part of what occurs when you are in connection and in the flow and circulation of life force, totally, fully, completely connected to creation. No, Sandra, I'm not a therapist. People ask me this. Go look at my description on here. I'm definitely not a therapist. And I do have therapist clients, and they don't like it when I say that when I get asked this question all the time, because I would say my experience of the vast majority of people who are a part of a system that omits major aspects of who we are as people, like our spiritual aspects, our physical. We do not heal in isolation. I'll just say that. You cannot heal by just talking. You cannot heal by just thinking. You cannot heal by just ignoring your emotions or just focusing on your emotions. There is an integration process that must take place. Hey, somebody's asking here, how do you heal? One day at a time, one moment at a time, totally in connection with creation in my heart. That's how you heal. That's how I heal. That's how I teach my clients to heal. Tom, you might want to look at how Tom is saying his left foot hurts, and it hurts when I walk, and our feet are about walking forward. This is how we move through daily life, walking forward. And when we don't want to, when we are in resistance to the direction we're walking, we're going to experience pain. So oftentimes pain is a signal. And I might add, everything begins in the non-physical. So if you're going to a practitioner that does not understand the non-physical, then, set your expectations from there. Marcel is saying, healing from what? Exactly. Healing is going to be different for everybody. You may not think you have a problem. Then would you be healing from it? No. You might think you're emotionally intelligent, Marcel, because that's a very smart question. And yet you might be very immature emotionally. I have no idea. So I would look at those aspects. Hey, Jimmy. He's 23. And he likes all kinds of music. Hey, Eric. Good to see you here. Yeah, Marcel, I agree. Pornography is manipulation. You will become a very weak person if you watch a lot of porn. No, Tom, I don't make pancakes. Marcel is saying everyone is so dishonest with themselves. Yeah, hey, self-awareness is a, it's not, it's not a luxury, right? Like you have to work, and you have to work to become honest with yourself. And a lot of people don't know that they're not honest with themselves. They think they're honest. And who are we to say that they're dishonest with themselves? Everybody is here to do their own journey. And if people are dishonest, I would say if you have a lot of people that are dishonest with themselves or out of touch, I would look and say, well, what is that reflecting back to you? Marcel is suggesting that trauma is a Western phenomenon for those who are way too much in time on their hands. You know, it's just life. We all have life experiences, and how we tend to look at them. Marcel, you must have missed the first part of it. Because how you believe is really what's going to change how you perceive and then what your reality is. So you have a different view on reality than a lot of people. And I'd say good for you, you know, because there are some people that say, oh, I'm this way because of this trauma. And they start to use their trauma or their life experience as an excuse for not being aware, for not being happy, for not being where they think they're supposed to be in life. Man is saying, well, man, I just want to say welcome back. It's been a while since we've seen you. It's good to see you here in the chat. I love it. I love seeing what you have to say. There is a very cool theory. Man is saying PTSD develops when some threatening memory gets stuck in the limbic system. Beautiful. And it isn't processed. People can build the narrative around it and hence get stuck. All right, man, but what is stuck? Stuck is simply just a repeating pattern. That's it. It's a repeating pattern because energy is constantly flowing until it gets stuck and it repeats, right? And what you're not saying is that there is a thing called being memory wiped. Why don't we know our memory is of our DNA? It's impacting us. Why don't we know that memory? What's the theory on that? Some might say it's past life regression. I don't know, man. What I'm saying here is that we're all here to heal. And if you don't understand why you're stuck, then get out of your own way. Start challenging your beliefs. Start knowing why you believe the way you do. What do I believe healing is? What do I think it looks like? What does it look like for me? When I'm healed, what will that be? You know, ask yourself high quality questions. Man says, moving our eyes bilaterally. Oh, EMDR is what you're suggesting, man, I believe, which is a process that many therapists use to try and heal their clients. I don't know that I would say it's not for me. So I don't have an opinion about it other than it does not resonate as a healing tool in my mind. And that would be my belief. So what I would believe would dictate how I'd heal, right? So how you believe dictates that. I would never do that because it doesn't resonate for me. Does that mean it doesn't work? No. It might work. I don't know. I would like to do a test, but not with myself because I don't feel like I have something like that I would do that with. Anyways. Marcel, busy people oftentimes suffer from less trouble. Well, you know, you bring up a good point, Marcel. Because moving through things does not mean you heal, okay? Moving through things does not mean you heal. Did you know that there is a cycle of energy that happens as you start from childhood all the way up through your elder years? And these cycles spiritually occur whether you're consciously aware of it or not. So just because you move through things doesn't mean you don't have your lessons to learn, right? We have to learn our soul lessons. I know, thanks for saying that, Peter. I just pinned your message. It's so ridiculous sometimes the chat. Oh, hey, Matt, you're back. I was going to say welcome back again, and I lost where I'm at. Okay, here we are. Kenobi says, Kenobi is saying that if you're from upper class, that your trauma is different than people with war. I'm not comparing traumas. I think you misunderstood that. In fact, I'm not even saying trauma is what it is. I'm just saying that trauma is a life experience, and trauma would be based on your perception of that life experience. So what you call trauma and what I call trauma might be different, and it doesn't have to do with anything that has to do with money. It has to do with understanding that how we process is how we process. And if you perceive and you have beliefs that say that money determines the types of trauma you have, I mean, that seems like a belief system to me, Kenobi, that you have, not me. Good to see you, Matt. Kenobi has some beliefs about optimism and delusion. And this is somebody who would be, Kenobi, if you don't mind me saying, is like, you're definitely expressing your beliefs, which I think is, admirable. But how are those beliefs supportive, encouraging, respectful, or kind to others? And so that would go back to how you identify healing for you. So number one is what I said about beliefs. What are your beliefs around healing? And there's a lot of judgments, as you could see in the chat, about healing. Jerry, thank you so much. Yeah, our beliefs need to be challenged. And, our beliefs are what makes healing so incredibly difficult. Because where is there a safe place to challenge your beliefs? Where does that exist? Because once you start to challenge your beliefs, guess what happens? The ego mind comes up and wants to start defending. But when you just look at a question like, what does healing look like for me? How will I know I'm there? That will help you just look at an experience differently. And really not in a way that's smaller or bigger, but it just is, because it is your healing. It is you healing you through your perceptions. And the softer those perceptions are, the more flexible, the less limited they are, the greater magnitude of healing can come in. And I appreciate you, Jerry, because you corrected me on your name, and I appreciated that. Man is saying, okay, man believes in his technique. Oh, Kenobi is quite bitter. Kenobi, you really come across as somebody who has a lot of judgments. I get to the questions after I talk. Hello, India. Why am I getting the sense my mind has to shrink? I don't know what you're talking about there. A lot of these comments don't make sense to me. Okay, Lokesh, hello. How do I stop being anxious around people who think they're better than me? Well, stop worrying about what they think about themselves or what they think about you. Well, look, as a telepath, it's a blessing that I get to pick up on other people's thoughts. But most people's thoughts are completely irrational. And I will also add, not always their own, meaning that there are inorganic thoughts that people pick up on. Thoughts are just waves, they're frequencies, right? So stop investing in what other people think of you. That would be number one, Lakesh. How to be more myself without being conscious of what others think of me. Build your confidence, build your self-esteem, get uncomfortable, like consciously choose to go out of your comfort zone, because when you're out of your comfort zone, you're stretching your perceptions on what is possible for you. Jose, Jose wants a private session and to bring tacos. Yeah, Mexican food is my favorite food. And I used to think that chips and salsa was its own food group. That's what I used to say. But now I can't eat chips and salsa like that because it doesn't resonate. Manish is saying, hello, you looks so spiritual. I don't even know what that means. I don't know what that means. Manish, your energy is very cool and calm. Okay. Are you? No, I'm not on Instagram live. Okay. Kat and Jack is saying most therapists become therapists because of major trauma. I don't know. I wouldn't doubt that. There's a lot of people walking around that have lots of things going on. Who knows why people do what they do? They might. I think people have also said when I was in grad school, people also said that people that go to get a secondary education, like extra, are out to prove something. And you know what? I believe that that's probably true. I would say my entire spiritual journey has been disentangling from the conditioning that comes from traditional schools. I wonder what would you say about that? Thanks, Matt, for being here. A punching box bags to reduce depression. I think boxing, physical movement, mobility movement, breathing, it was very good for healing physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, until it becomes an obsession and or an addiction, and then it's not what you think it is. Debu is saying, I have lots of problems. I realize it, but can't act to rectify. Well, I would say, look, there's almost over 300 videos on this live series. All is about you becoming your own healer. All practices that you can apply. So I would say first, the simplest thing, you got to know your values. You got to live by your values. And you have to understand that self-awareness is the key to aligning to higher levels of consciousness. It is not higher consciousness, but it certainly can lead to it. Somebody here is saying their mind is the trauma house, right? The mind can be manipulated for sure. Prairie is saying mental health should be a priority. I would say, why is one more prioritized over another? Is it because it's more out of balance that it becomes a priority and then you focus on that so much it goes, other things go out of balance? We need to understand that all aspects need to be addressed: physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. And although mental health need to be a priority for you, for somebody else it might be a spiritual health. And I would say if you are spiritually inclined, then that is how you're going to heal the vast majority of your physical, mental, and emotional problems. But so many people are so blocked spiritually, they don't even know that everything happens in the non-physical. Everything happens in the spiritual realm before it comes into manifestation, y'all. Everything. Everything starts in the non-physical before it becomes physical. Okay. You people are talking about politics here. We're not talking politics. I did. Ah! Thank you, Peter. Oh, I just got all red when I read what I pinned. That is hysterical. Oh, well, it's YouTube. What are you going to do? Thanks, Peter. Oh, my goodness. Matt, what is it that you do for a living? 4:30 a.m.? Yeah, Oliver's asking what you do too, Matt. Oh, Matt has severe PTSD, so I'm very careful who I share my experiences with. Well, Matt, because we love and want to support you, just when we claim something as I have, that becomes part of your identity. So your life experiences are just experiences. They are not who you are. Who you are is far greater than any experience that you could have had. But your learning from that experience is what is going to transform your experiences moving forward. So I honor you and I support you in your healing, and I hope that you found these 5 aspects helpful for you. Challenge my beliefs. I'm trying to believe my beliefs. I know somebody is, you don't want to believe what you think, okay? Okay, just seeing, Matt, please no spamming the chat. Thank you. Jerry saying, hello, Oliver. I love how you guys are really encouraging each other and saying hello. It's like friends. I feel like I don't know you, but I feel like I just feel the love. That's all. I have visited India. I went to India in college I was there for 8 days, 9 days, something like that. Matt doesn't want to tell us what he does for a living, but which is okay. I used to think I didn't want to put my personal information on YouTube either. So much for that idea. Sophia is saying so many limiting beliefs. Well, what a beautiful awareness to have, Sophia. What a beautiful awareness, because once you identify that you have limiting beliefs and you are aware that you have limiting beliefs, you now have a conscious choice to say, you know what, that limiting belief is BS. I'm not going to believe that anymore. And you plug it in with a new one. It really is quite easy to do. How do you get addicted to boxing what are you talking about? People often get addicted to physical activity, and it locks them into what I will call the 3D, the physical form, and it makes them forget that everything begins in the non-physical. Matt says mental health and physical health are all priorities, not one over another. To me, spirituality is the integrating key to all physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual balancing. Fizzy, I must have missed your, he's feeling sad. Fizzy, feel the sadness and transmute it. Use your conscious breath to feel your feelings. Your sadness doesn't have to stay. You can transmute your feelings. That's what's so powerful about the emotional body, is that it actually transmutes the more that you are present with it. Any specific questions that I can help with? I'm just going to scroll through. Isn't it wonderful, Sophia says, to replace limiting beliefs? Yes, but you had to take time to even acknowledge that you had them, Sophia. So kudos to you for acknowledging, you know what? I have limiting beliefs. Let me go find all of them. What do I have limiting beliefs on about love, about my physical body, about my ideas of spirituality, about healing? What are my beliefs? We have beliefs about everything. It is a matrix, okay? And the more aware you become about what it is that you believe, the easier your healing will be. But for those of you who hold totally onto those hold tightly to your beliefs about family and what you think family is, about healing and what you think healing is, those beliefs limit your healing. I have never learned about anybody's beliefs in their family that was expansive. Almost all the beliefs that people talk about in relationship with family are limiting. Almost all of our beliefs that we hold about spirituality will be challenged through our physical experience. Okay. Jerry, I would love to understand spirituality better because I honestly feel like I'm missing out on aspects that would help me ongoing. Well, Jerry, I would love to support that question, but I don't understand, like, what aspects do you feel like you're missing out on? Every day we have a physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual body. So if you can acknowledge that at minimum, every experience can be a spiritual experience if you're open to it. And what does that mean? It means that you are open and accepting, loving, kind, those are spiritual aspects. Every day you have a conflict or a challenge can be a spiritual experience. So I don't really know what aspects you feel like you're missing out on. Peter's asking, are our beliefs around certain things act as a construction or learnings? Are our beliefs acting as constructs or learnings? Well, I do believe that more often than not, when we are in the healing journey, we will learn that our beliefs have been lies, or they've been misdirected, or that you believe something that was untrue. So oftentimes, our belief system keeps us from learning in ways that we need to expand physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. Does that help, Peter? It helps to listen to people like you and bring awareness to some that might not otherwise notice. Thank you, Sophia. I will just add, Sophia, take somebody like you and everybody else who's hanging on here to be open to learning about themselves in a different way. And not everybody is open to that, as we see in some of the comments in the chat. Not everybody wants to learn. Not everybody wants to grow. And almost unified people do not want to look at their beliefs. I would say 99.9% of the people do not want to look at how they believe and how their beliefs might be limiting in them in their healing process. And they don't even want to look at, what do I believe about healing? And so then they're on this loop where they just never are where they want to be. And so that's miserable. And that's why we have a lot of people on anxiety medicine. How do I help myself better? Okay, Matt, thank you. Good to see you. Well, good to see you in the chat. Your meal is steak tips and asparagus with baked potatoes. Sounds very American. Enjoy, and blessings to you and your meal that you'll consume. May it make your heart happy, Matt. Thanks for being you. Jerry, how to help myself better? It's very general, Jerry. I need something. I don't know where you think you're weak. Where do you think you need to grow in awareness? Do you think that you're mentally rigid? Do you think you're mentally flexible? I don't know what you think, or I don't know you. I'm not tapping into your energy. If we were having a one-on-one session, I could help you definitely. Be more specific, because I would be picking up on your energy. But here in the chat, I'm just seeing you as you chat. Allie is asking, what did I study in university? I studied communication, debate, which was I think everybody should understand critical thinking. And I think debate is a great tool of learning critical thinking and research and so forth. So it's always been a part of me. As a hobby, I studied always from a little girl. I always studied about nanotechnology and quantum field and how things worked energetically. I did that as a hobby. My master's degree is in organizational leadership and conflict management. My emphasis was on the group dynamics and how groups function. And then I started doing one-on-one consulting with that, because I noticed that the leaders that I was working with didn't really have the individual strength, I'll just say, to manage the complexity of a team. Because working with organizations and teams is complex. It's a lot of energy that's moving. Thanks for being here, Matt, and making time for us here. Oh, Matt, you love cooking? Good for you. I'm not a cooker. I make oatmeal, and I don't even really like oatmeal that much anymore. My beautiful, soft little thing, good to see you here. Sophie's saying, I started down this road by reading research and the scientific community. Sophia, go read about the DSM. Learn about what the DSM is, how it originated, why it was created. That it is so powerful. Powerful in that it starts to unravel what we've been told. My beautiful soft little thing is saying, I've been doing some shadow work. Good for you. Shadow work is one of my favorite things to do. I do believe in Jung theory of the shadows, so I've been going deeper and deeper into my subconscious. Do I think that's any good for PTSD? Shadow work, I think, is beautiful. I think anytime that we can, shadow work essentially, for those of you who are not aware, is essentially bringing light to the dark. That's bringing conscious awareness to something you didn't see. I call it blind spots, but shadow work is same thing. Do I think it's good for PTSD? I don't think it's going to hurt. I think PTSD is how we process, and it's a lack of processing in healthy ways that makes something continue to progress. So we haven't found the thing that has helped us. Jerry is saying confidence is low. Okay, just a statement, no immediate help required from you, ma'am. I'm working on myself and learning from my mistakes and failings all the time. So, Jerry, the quickest thing to increase confidence is to go out of your comfort zone. So, like I said, I love the cold exposure, cold plunging, cold showers, because that changes our perceptions immediately. So that's something you could do quite easily, low risk. So to build confidence, you want to do something like that on a regular basis. Going outside your comfort zone, making yourself uncomfortable will help you. I'm not saying causing pain, but will help you see, sense, and feel things differently. That's important when we're healing. If you want to become more confident, you need to look at, well, where are the beliefs that make you feel that your confidence is low? What are those beliefs? And are those beliefs real? Are they really something you believe in now? Because oftentimes we have beliefs that come from our childhood that we bring with us into adulthood, and then we become an adult and we're like, oh, I don't believe that. That's not true. And then it no longer ceases to be a belief that we hold. But so often people don't take time to do that. Okay, we're over an hour now, so I'm going to jump off here. Sophia says, yes, the DSM is just voted on ridiculous. The DSM, it really is. I mean, there's 2 videos on YouTube that I've seen about the DSM that really expose it for what it is, and it highly recommend it. The topic today, Alex, we were talking about 5 things that I believe would help you address healing wounds and changing how you're processing. Vikram is saying they like to say to integrate your shadow. Correct. Right? Because once you bring light to it, it becomes one, right? We're all one. That is just a simple way of looking at it, which is beautiful, right? It should be simple. It's not complicated, but we make it complicated because we have beliefs that we hold on to that say, oh no, I don't believe that. I don't believe this. I don't believe, and we don't realize how that keeps us locked in. Clark Kent, I don't know what you're saying here. Okay, I'm just going to look for questions real quick. Jerry, thanks again for the stream, ma'am, all night. Thank you. Thank you so much. All right, I'm good too. We're all good. You guys have a great night. I'm Kiana Sage. I come on here every day. The times might be changing, so put your notifications on if you're new. I didn't see Mick join in today, but I want to thank everybody who's been here, sitting with me, learning with me, expanding with me on this channel. I come on here every day to do something different topic, a way of looking at things that help us heal and grow and change. Change not just our perspective, but change how we walk through this world. I'm Kiana Sage. You guys have a great day. See you tomorrow. Bye. Thanks, Peter. Thanks, Oliver. Thank you, Matt. Eric. You guys are great. Bye.